Hello, my name is Corey Sanchez-Smith. I'm the owner of Heart Shift Consulting, where we cultivate choice-filled lives through heart work. If you have not already, be sure to hit subscribe so you can stay abreast of all the content we have coming your way. Today, I proudly introduce you to my friend, Dr. Toni Bailey. When I first met Toni, she was an art teacher at a middle school, and I got to see firsthand the gift that she is as a teacher. She had a wonderful way of committing to expanding her students' understanding of the content while exploring their sense of self and their community and their culture. It is this beautiful example of SEL integration into academics that I want you to hear and learn from. SEL, when woven into our core content, expands our students' understanding of themselves in this world. And I love the use of art to help do that. So, pen and pad ready. Please say hello to my friend, Dr. Toni Bailey. Toni, hello.
Hey, Corey, how are you?
Or should I say Dr. Bailey?
Well, whatever you want.
Let me give credit where credit's due. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, of course. So I know already, but I want to catch everyone else up that you are a phenomenal arts educator. You have been recognized by your community and the school and your district at large for your excellence in education. So I would love for you to catch us all up on really how you found the arts and then why you chose secondary, because that's middle school is a special spot, right? So what led you to that group and that subject?
Well, when I started college, my undergrad, I was actually a biology major, and I was a biology major all the way into my senior year. I took one art class, that one art class that you have to take before you graduate.
Yeah.
And it changed my life. I just found my heart, and I really connected with the faculty in that department, and they convinced me to change my major in my senior year. So I changed my major to art, and it was probably one of the best decisions that I ever made. And then shortly after I graduated, they kind of told me I should be an art teacher. So I just went in that direction because I was working with like some art camps that they had going on in the summertime. And that's what led me to art teaching. And then middle school in particular, I don't think it was something I was necessarily targeting at the beginning. I just kind of ended up in that situation. But after I did my research, I realized that that is a very stormy time of life for people. That middle age is really tumultuous and it's extremely difficult. And when I studied why it's difficult, then I realized, okay, yeah, it makes sense. I'm happy. I don't know if it was just destiny, how I ended up there, but I'm happy that I ended up in that age group because that is a pivotal time when they're forming their identity. And it just kind of all melted together nicely that I happen to be interested in identity and trying to help people express themselves. Really, the middle age is the best time because that's when you're developing in that way. And so it's really easy to have conversations with that age group on topics that concern them, on social issues, on what's going on, and so I just like having those conversations really with them too. So it all worked out. But I was teaching first grade when I first came into the education system. And yeah, you can't really have those juicy conversations. First graders, there's so many pros to teaching elementary school. But I would say one thing that I found, that I just like about middle school is that we could really talk like about what's going on in society. So
yeah. I mean, so obviously my passion is social emotional learning, and the middle school years, as you state, there's so much growth and development in terms of social identity, your emotional state, your brain development. There's so much happening there. And you and I have talked mostly about your instructional unit that centered around investigating identity through photography. So I want to hear all about it again, like how you came to develop that instructional unit and what it meant for your students.
Okay. So the school that I was teaching at is very diverse. It's an international school, actually. So we have like 50 or so nationalities in the school. And even though we have that intense diversity and that beautiful dynamic, I didn't really see an opportunity for kids to express their culture, even though the school is extremely cultural. But I don't know if I just saw a gap. And so, not that like that's a really horrible thing or anything, but I just saw that there was room for improvement. And I wanted my students to feel empowered and valued in who they were because of who they were, not trying to fold or become something else, but just, be proud of who you are, basically. And then the photography piece came in because I just happened to be doing some research about how photos can trigger your brain. It can help you dig deep and remember things that maybe you locked away.
Hmm.
And it just turned I don't know, it enlightened, like your brain, the light switch is flipped on when you see certain images. So I use photography because it elicits emotions, it elicits reflection, deep reflection without you even trying. So that's why I chose that medium. Also too, I feel like my students really have never used a real camera before. At that point they are all relying on cell phones. And so I just kind of wanted to educate them on, a classic form of art. But so that project, it was hitting like multiple gaps that I had identified: a lack of cultural empowerment, um, a lack of understanding difference, appreciating difference, and a lack of technology use, just like straight up. They thought cell phones were the best, the only camera out there. And
Right.
so I wanted to really, especially for the ones who want to be art majors or artists when they grow up, like introduce them to a little deeper understanding of photography as a art. And so, yeah, just kind of pulled all those things together and came up with that identity project. And it went really well. I used it with the only one of my classes. I was teaching sixth, seventh, and eighth grade, but one of my classes in particular was like a ninth grade class because um, they were advanced in art. They really love art, and so I had them for a longer time. We had time to really dig deeper, and it turned it turned out really well. I was really proud. We did that project for about 3 or 4 years while I was there, and every year, just so many things were unearthed. I think because the kids, they were finally being asked to look at who they are. And I
So,
think really as a human being, oh my God, that's such a challenge to figure out who you are. You can speculate and look at everybody else all day, but to really think about yourself is tough.
yeah. What would the kids say? Like in at the conclusion, what kind of things were they sharing with
I
you?
I would say the biggest thing that always stood out to me was some advocacy came out of them, because I really challenged them to think about what is annoying to you in the world. Like seriously, like what is ticking you off when you look at the news? What's concerning? And then somebody were like, I don't care about anything. But
Mm.
when you start to get in that mind space, though, well, let me figure out what I care about. Let me start looking and really opening my eyes and taking pictures of stuff and thinking about what these pictures mean and represent. Then they start to figure out what do they want to be better, because one of the questions I asked them is, if there's anything you could change in the world, what would it be? So those moments were really, I think, aha moments for them because they realize, well, I'm really concerned that female basketball players don't get paid as much as male basketball players. And I never really thought about it, but that actually is, something that I would like to fix. And now I have to think about how can we fix it. So it was just, I don't know, it seems like they really got passionate about those areas, things that directly related to them, but that could be improved some way in society. And when they showed their videos, you can just tell it's like always this moment, this powerful moment where they were um, just talking about the social problem. And even the audience, the other kids who are watching the video would get quiet and get serious, like,
So
so.
so explain, because we've talked about photography, but now you're mentioning a video. So did they turn their
Oh,
photographs into a video?
yes, they had to take about 50 photos. And I told them, we're going to do 10 photos that focus on your early childhood, 10 photos on a social problem, 10 photos on your friends, the school community, 10 photos on all these different things. gave them like prompts of what to take pictures of, what to think about. And then they took all those photos and made like a slideshow movie. We used Animoto to do that. And so, yeah, it was kind of like a quick movie, like a 3-minute movie of their life. And in between photos, they had like texts that were explaining things or, giving us even more information than just pure imagery. And they could do voiceovers if they wanted to as we watched the thing. But yeah, we had like this day where we watched everyone's video together.
There are so many layers to what you're saying. I'm going to try and remember all of them. But first, I was just impressed with this reframing of a negative mood, right? I feel like so often we try to get kids to ignore feeling sad or irritated or angry and just, be happy and it's okay and have a growth mindset and get out of it. Right. Toxic positivity. And but what you said is like use that irritation. Right? Study something that you can advocate behind, right? To identify a core value. So there's that like honoring of a bad mood, which I think is lovely, right? And then you have this project that fights the apathy that so easily can take over students, right? I don't care, I don't know, I guess, right? Like which drives all of us teachers absolutely bonkers.
Yeah.
So instead of letting it kind of be, you have them sit in it.
Yeah.
And it's not enough to say, I don't know. It's like, it's cool that you don't know now, but keep thinking, right?
Keep thinking. Yes. Yes.
That is beautiful. And then you have this shared community of people being vulnerable and bringing their lives into school with their peer group at a part in education where it's so nerve-wracking just what peers think of me and where do I fit in and how do I show up? And you fought that by like just stripping everything away and saying, be you and bring yourself to the classroom. So I know there's other stuff in there too, but those are the 3 things that bubbled up while you were talking, just how powerful this integration of like social emotional learning, self-identity, self-awareness, self-management, and then social awareness, perspective taking, getting to know other people in education.
Yes.
But not everyone is a gifted art teacher. So if someone's watching this video and they don't have an arts background, do you have any suggestions for how they can integrate art with a focus on identity building in a classroom?
Yes. Well, first, I just want to say that if we're teaching any subject and we're thinking about Bloom's taxonomy, and we're always striving to eventually have some kind of activity aligned with the top of Bloom's, critical and creative thinking is at the top. Really, creative thinking is the peak. It's the most. It requires the most energy. It requires the most challenge for you to be able to create something. So you don't have to create art necessarily, but challenging your students, no matter what content area that you teach, to create something, whether it be a play or a song or a poem or a diorama or something that's been invented. Like they can take an original idea and just tweak it, twist it, and bend it to whatever you're teaching or what your subject matter entails. That I think should honestly be the drive of education, to get our students to that creative thinking point, because that is a challenge to take something that doesn't exist and just make it. So you can either think of it from that angle of just challenging them at the top of Bloom's, like making that a goal for every lesson or unit plan, or you can literally bring in the arts, that type of creativity into your lessons. And I think, with some kind of culminating project, like I said, whether it's, having them create a song or a poster board or anything really, just intertwining that, I would say, into every lesson is pivotal, because you always want to bring them from, that lower level thinking to a top form of thinking. I'm trying to think what else here.
Well, while you're thinking, the example that came to my mind while you were talking was Lin-Manuel's Hamilton play, right? Where we
Mm-hmm.
have a historical reference that was turned into a work of art
Yeah.
and flipped on its head by using actors that were all people of color and
Mm-hmm.
integrating a modern form of rap, right? So it's like,
Right.
so how you take something that is a standard and purposely create a new version through the
Yeah.
perspective of students, right?
Yeah, art is really in everything, and that's something else I wanted to hit on is if you can have them create something that's relevant to
Yeah.
who they are. Yeah, take your standard, but you have to constantly be flexible. You know what's trending, what's happening in reality. You know, in their realities. And so, if they happen to be interested in rap music, or if they happen to be interested in TikTok, you know, if that's trendy right now, then the teacher has to kind of, it's helpful to remain cognizant of what they're interested in, their culture literally, and infuse that into the creation. Really, you should infuse that into the whole lesson, but definitely that last task has to have something relevant, culturally relevant.
And that is the trip that we take into exploring identity, right? Like, what is
Hmm.
relevant to me as a student?
Right,
And
right.
that being an open question instead of a rubric that guides students into something very specific and
Hmm.
structured and programmatic,
Yeah,
where it's really like an open exploration into what is important to you.
right. So there should be
How do you want to use your
choices.
voice? Yeah.
Yeah, it should be a lot of choices to use their voice and how they want to use their voice. um that really has to be cultivated from the first month of school, though, you know, where you're building a sense of community in your classroom and trust, and allowing them to speak up, allowing them to discuss what's going on, even if it's just like a 10-minute what's on your mind warm up, you know, once a week or something. So that when you do get to those creative moments, you know, they feel a little loosened up and they're already kind of accustomed to what is expected of them. Or if that's too much, too fast, you know, to basically redo your whole curriculum. um, that again, that last task, that culminating task, if you can just use that opportunity to allow them some choice into how they want to explore the standard, or the you know the couple standards that you're using to kind of anchor your whole plan. Even giving them a choice, like, hey, I know that you guys all have different learning styles, but you can choose, you know, how you want to take this thing. We just got finished talking about World War II. Now reflect on everything you know, and if you had to summarize what you learned, you can do it by creating a claymation, or, you know, making a rap song, you know, giving them some choices in how they reflect on what they just learned. That could be a helpful way to get
Yeah.
that higher order thinking.
Yeah. I want to go back to what you said. That was really powerful. It's setting the stage from day one that
Hmm.
your voice matters, that I want to
Yeah.
hear your opinion, that I want you to bring your thoughts into discussion. And
Yeah.
that doesn't happen accidentally. That's natural moments
Plans. Yeah.
and planned moments for
Hmm.
student engagement, right? Like, how do
Yeah.
I, as a teacher, stop talking
Hmm. Yes.
and open the floor so that my students
Hmm.
know that they're a part of this community?
Yes, you really have to relinquish control. And I should like mention that at the beginning with my Atlanta Families project. Yeah, it didn't just start. We didn't just start with photography. It was all the way at the beginning. I was like kind of fostering this development where be cool, you know, just be cool. Just walk in. What's on your mind? We're gonna have this. We had a warm up discussion. Literally, I would put something. I don't know, not controversial, but something thought provoking on the board every morning. That was our routine. And we would talk about it for like 5 minutes and then move into whatever we were supposed to move into. But, you know, it just set the stage. Like, y'all, I'm a human, first of all, too. Like, just being vulnerable as an adult, and being able to have conversations and not try to act like you know everything, or your perspective is the only one that matters. That has to be established when you're talking about the arts, because the arts are expression. It's free expression. That's literally what it is. It's not controlled expression. That's like an
Yeah.
oxymoron. You cannot be creative without that. You cannot think critically without some kind of freedom, so
Yeah, I
yeah.
like that idea of a provocation every
Hmm.
day. And I can also see an opportunity to bring in current events because
Hmm.
so often the world is swirling around kids, right? With
Yeah.
social issues, global issues,
Hmm.
and there isn't always an opportunity to talk about them. Like they just come
Right.
to school, they do trigonometry, they do their spelling test, they do whatever they do. And
Yeah.
it's like, but there's this world that they formed an opinion
Yeah.
or they want to form an opinion and we don't always have a chance to talk. So I like,
Yeah.
I think that's a strong suggestion to put a question, something that doesn't have a
Hmm.
definite answer, something that
Yeah. Right.
opens dialogue, something that's
Right.
important to them, something that's happening in the world,
Hmm.
and practicing developing an opinion and even disagreeing respectfully, right?
Hmm.
Just
Hmm.
for a few minutes every day, just that skill building. Oh
Yes,
my
we
gosh.
even had a picture. I'm so sorry. What were we gonna say?
No, go for it.
I was just gonna say I put a picture up just as an example of what I was showing them. Like, there was a picture taken in the 1950s where they had this lady. She was shaving her face. She had
Mhm.
shaving cream all over over her face with a little blade in her hand. Like she was gonna,
Yeah.
like she was shaving a beard or something. Um, and we have a lot of students. We've always had students who are thinking about their gender orientation for 5 trillion years, but now they're allowed to say
Right,
it.
right.
This is not a new thing.
Yeah.
It's just they are talking now about something that they've been thinking about forever. So yeah, it's just like, I just put the picture up. Like I don't even say anything. I
Yeah.
tell them to think in silence. What you think? So
So
it just opens up the floor to like all kind of perspectives. I'm thinking in my head, this could be some gender situation here, this picture. I don't tell them what I'm thinking though. What do y'all think? And I know what's on their mind because I hear them whispering. And that's
yeah.
the thing too. They don't even get to talk to each other about
Yeah.
it, let alone to me or a teacher. But I hear whispers. I know what they're thinking. So I'm kind of like provoking
Yeah.
those thoughts, with those kind of pictures. Yeah.
And another example of using photography
Right, right,
in
right,
the
right. Yeah.
classroom.
Yeah.
I feel like we could talk forever.
Yeah.
And I love this because you're my type of people. So like
Yes.
we could do this forever. But I
We
do want
can.
to have an opportunity for you to share what you're up to now
Mhm.
and how people can engage with you or learn from you or whatever the options are for
Yeah.
people who are interested in hearing what you have to say. So catch us up. Where are you now?
Okay. Where am I now? So I'm a professor of education at Piedmont University, and I'm working with teachers. I'm teaching teachers how to teach. And the subjects I'm teaching are actually not art right now. I'm teaching educational psychology and educational research, quantitative statistics, but within all those classes still trying to constantly like keep that creative critical thinking as my teaching philosophy. So if you're interested in going back for a degree, a master's or a doctorate, you could easily, I would love for you to come to Piedmont or just email me. My email address is tbailey@piedmont.edu. um, because I'm in that realm right now. Even within the college courses, I'm always trying to teach teachers how to empower their students and
Yeah.
empower themselves too. That's what I'm doing right now. I have two conferences next year, in January, and looking at how teachers need to, yeah, looking at how to empower teachers. That's my research. And just especially during COVID, how teachers have kind of fallen into this impossible place of expectation.
Yeah.
You're expected as a teacher to predict, secure, defend, protect, counsel, teach, medicate. I mean, I could list probably like 100 verbs of what teachers are expected to do today. And so my research right now, I'm literally working on an article right now on how that happened, how teachers have been, I don't know, given this impossible task almost to fix all social issues. But that's something else, right? That I'm
That's
looking
another
at.
interview. Yes.
That's another interview. And if you're, yeah, another one more quick thing is so I'm writing a lot. I'm trying to do a lot of articles. I think that's the best way to disseminate, what I'm saying or what I'm thinking. It's my new form of art. is to just write it down and publish. So I have a research journal that isn't off the ground yet, but it should be coming soon.
Well, what I'm going to do is in the body of this video, I'm going to put your email. I'll put your LinkedIn handle because I know that you're active on LinkedIn, and I'll put a link to the project that we wrote up a couple years ago. So
Yes.
you can download that if they want. And I hope that people take the opportunity to continue to learn from you because you just have so much to give. And I'm so happy that you're doing the work that you're doing. Thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this.
Well, it's my pleasure.
Yay!
Thank you. Thank you. This is exciting. I love this work that you're doing. So happy to help. This is needed. This is needed.
Thank
Really.
you, friend. Thank you so much. We'll talk soon.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.